Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Spirit Coffee Talk this week. As you can see, I am solo today. No one beside me, no one on the Zoom screens beside me. Um, yeah, you're stuck with just me. So just as we're getting into it, if you're new to Spirit Coffee Talk, welcome. Normally I'm joined by the lovely Lisa and lovely Ginette, and we are some of the mediums and channelers from Avalon Spirit. And we talk all things energy, we talk all things, spirit, we talk all things the human experience and all that comes with that. And in our human experience this week, Ginette is enjoying beautiful Mexico with her family, and Lisa is a busy mama. And in my 3D experience, we're terrible with time zones. And so Lisa and I live in different time zones, and we didn't coordinate quite properly this week. And part of that is the energy that's been going on. So my intention for today, if you joined Spirit Coffee Talk before, you know I often like to talk about the body, the experience of the body, our human experience, how mind, body, spirit all kind of merges together. I'm also a coach and a somatic practitioner. And so for me, I'm really passionate about merging all three. And I think for a lot of people this week, it's been a really confronting and intense week in that relation, the three kind of parts of ourself, our mind, body, and our spirit. It's been a lot. And it was funny. I had chatted with Lisa. This is what I was gonna talk about today in her absence and in Jeanette's absence. And thought, you know what, I'll record a somatic process for everyone. So we'll talk a little bit about the energy, what's been happening this week. And then we will do a somatic process, which is, a meditative mind, body, spirit process that allows us to connect in really deeply in a different way and really accessing the body, which I love. And just the intention was to, how can we hold all of the things happening right now in our body? How can we hold all of the things happening externally and internally within our body? And so that was kind of the intention for today. And then I was having a little morning scroll on social media and saw that Ginette from Mexico had posted how much her and her daughter and her whole family have been experiencing some really intense up and down type energies this week, and how even when it feels good, quote unquote, whatever good means, even if it feels good or it's positive things, it can still feel really intense. And then sometimes when it feels not so good or really heavy, that feels really intense too. And sometimes, regardless of what the experience is, our body has a hard time holding it, and then our brain likes to run amok with that and say, here's a million reasons why this is something you should be stressed about or something you should be afraid about, when really we're just having a body experience. And so if we can learn to hold space for that a little bit more, it allows us to experience it, maybe learn things from it, maybe find a different perspective rather, and then move forward with our day however we choose, right? Using some critical awareness to say, okay, this is what I'm feeling. This is what's happening for me. Here's the perspective that I'm holding on it. Here's how I choose to move forward. Here's what I want for myself in this experience, rather than bypassing, whether that means for you, like, everything's fine and I'm fine and positive and that kind of frantic, toxic positivity, or bypassing positivity, or we sink into it and we allow it to kind of take us over and become this like intense, all-encompassing experience that maybe doesn't serve us either. So my intention for today is to talk a little bit about the energies this week, as well as guide us through a practice. So if you don't have space right now to do a practice, I'm not sure how long it's going to be, maybe 15 minutes or so, we'll see. But if you don't have space right now to do a practice, listen and come back to it. And you can always come back to this practice too. This is something I work a lot with my coaching clients on and my somatic clients on, is using these practices, these somatic practices, to build a connection with our body. And sometimes we can do that on our own, just in the moment. And sometimes we need an external voice, an external person, a recorded practice to bring us into it, because our brain is like, you're not leading anything for yourself today. So feel free to bookmark this video too if you like the practice and it serves you and you want to do it again. You always can do it. So grab your coffee. I have mine here, one of my favorite mugs, and we'll get going. I don't have the space to drink my coffee as much, because normally I drink my coffee when Ginette and Lisa are talking. Okay, so this week, one of the big things that has been talked about that I know Ginette talked about, I think it was she even talked about it in our cosmic consciousness circle, alliteration. Last week, I know it's been out kind of in the spiritual um, internet world. Is all of these planets, all the planets that were retrograding have moved direct. Now, I'm not an astrology pro by any stretch. We've got some wonderful, we've got Shannon, who is like the astrology wizard of Avalon. So check her out if you want more information on that. It's not my jam. It's not my jam. I don't know it. I don't know it well. I love it. It's fascinating. I don't know it well. So I don't know what planets, I can't speak to that. But I know they all went direct. Mercury got out of the Gatorade, the microwave, the wherever it was. I know there was some Uranus movement, other things. All to say, what that is showing us or what's happening in that is a lot of forward momentum, a lot of intense, like, oh, I can even feel it in my body as I'm talking right now. This like heightened sense, this intense energy that is like, okay, we're moving. And a lot of people have been talking about this. We talked about this on Spirit Coffee Talk as well. This idea that, February was going to be a really forward movement month. And we were starting to get into that energy towards the end of January, which here we are. And it's happening, and it's been happening all week. And that can oftentimes, the forward momentum energy, you're being moved forward, you're being supported. That's all great. It's going to help us move forward towards the things that we're calling in, the manifesting that we've been doing, the, goals that we have for ourselves. All of that is being supported and moving us forward. Beautiful. What sometimes isn't talked about is the intensity that can come with that. And that sometimes forward momentum also means things get shaken up. Sometimes forward momentum, even if it's positive and exciting and wonderful, can also feel really unnerving. It can feel really disabling. It can feel not disabling, destabilizing. That's the word I was looking for. It can feel really ungrounding. It can feel really intense. And sometimes our bodies and our brains will be like, I don't like this, feels negative, and push it away. Sometimes it can also mean forward momentum means big changes in your life. And those can look like negative changes. They can look like, ooh, this feels like this person is leaving my life, or this change is happening, or I'm going to have to move, or I'm going to change my career all of a sudden, or whatever that is. I'm going to, change the way I'm eating or moving my body. I'm going to, I have a different interest all of a sudden. I'm being called towards this. They can be positive things, but they can also feel like negative things, negative changes or things. And I don't mean that they're actually negative, but we perceive it as that because it feels uncomfortable. If we think about, oh, a relationship is going to change or end, that's probably going to create some level of discomfort in our body because we're in relationship with them for a reason. I don't want to lose them. Or what is it going to change like? What is it going to look like? How is this going to be different? That creates a lack of unsafety. I don't know if that's a word, unsafety, lack of safety. Let's go with that. It creates a lack of safety in our bodies, in our experience, and then sometimes we'll resist, we'll push back, we'll be like, oh, I don't want to go there. So, all to say, there has been a lot of intense ups and downs this week in that. And, I can only speak for my experience, but I know Lisa and Ginette have, I've been talking with them on and off this week, and they've been experiencing very similar things where, yes, there's positive or forward momentum, rather. There's things that are moving forward. And I know for me, like, there's certain things and I'm like, oh, shiza, this is happening fast. I did not plan for this. And yet here I am. There's changes coming. There's things that I can see changing a lot sooner than I thought, or changing in a way that I didn't even see or expect. That's felt really really ungrounding. It's felt really intense. It's felt scary. It's felt confronting. And it's felt like, oh, I wasn't prepared for this speed. It's like we're going 100 miles an hour and I don't have my seatbelt on yet. Like, whoa, it's been a lot. There's been a lot of sadness for me this week. We had a dear family member or not family member, friend of the family pass. That was really connected to my dad. And so they were, really close friends. And that brought up a lot for me. I'm pretty good at my grief experience. I see a lot of my grief with my dad as this like beautiful, loving energy, and I connect with him and I miss him. And it's, for the most part, I don't really get taken out by intense grief, but I did this week. It really brought up a lot for me. And that was really hard, but also really beautiful. But I had to like take a step back for a couple days because I could feel that I needed to hold space for myself in what was coming up. And then there was also like really beautiful, exciting things that happened and like momentum that's happening in these, wonderful changes. I've talked about like my trauma, my challenging situations with my dogs. Love them, but it's been a stress. And we had some really wonderful experiences this week that I was like, oh, all of this hard work is paying off. This is amazing. And like more so than I ever anticipated. So again, it was like ups and downs and intense and low and quiet and loud and, all of the kind of polar opposite experiences that you can think of. That was in my experience this week. And, in talking with Lisa prior to starting today, I was like, what for you was coming up, or, what might I share from your perspective? And for her, a big thing was slowing down. And it was for me too. It's like, how do I create space for myself to be in my experience? And that's really hard because we live in a 3D world where there's like a million and one things happening on any given day. We've created busy lives for ourselves. We have kids and families, and we're going on trips and we're doing this, and we got to get groceries and walk the dogs and all of the things. And sometimes it feels like I have no space. I have no space to slow down and say, how can I hold myself in this moment? How can I practice some self-care? What do I need in this moment? It can feel really unavailable to create space for ourselves. And so with that, that can even be confronting because it's like, maybe I know I need space. Maybe I am desperately craving some quiet to like spend my day not talking to anybody and going inward and nurturing myself. Maybe like that's all I desperately want. But like I have a fully booked packed day and I don't know how I'm going to do that. And I don't feel like that's available to me right now. That can feel really uncomfortable and confronting. So, all to say, it's like this whole energy this week of like forward momentum and we're moving forward and push and not push, but the energy is pushing us forward. We're not needing to push because honestly, I don't need to go any faster than what I'm going right now. And that doesn't always feel good, right? And sometimes that can allow us to take away from the things that we want. Maybe we self-sabotage a little bit unconsciously. Maybe we try and, numb out from it a little bit, use different coping mechanisms that help us but don't necessarily serve in the highest way. And sometimes, we just have to like take a pause and realize that it's all happening. There's things that we can't control. There's things that we can control. And how can we support ourselves? That's always my question for myself and for my clients. And I know something we talk about on Spirit Coffee Talk a lot is how can I support myself in this? It's not to ever shame ourselves. It's not to ever say you should be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that or bad, 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 because that inherently creates more challenge and more stress, right? Shaming ourselves doesn't get us anywhere. What does is nurturing ourselves, is nourishing ourselves. And that doesn't have to be taking a whole day off and not talking to anybody if you don't have space for that. But it can be spending 10, 15 minutes just going inward. And if like you've got a lot going on, you're in a busy office, like go sit in the bathroom for 15 minutes and meditate. I know it's not the most peaceful place, but I used to do that all the time when I worked in a corporate office setting. I'd go sit in the bathroom and have quiet time because I worked in a very open space that I couldn't find quiet time. So that's what I do. So anyways, all to say, tangenting a little bit, but this is why I can't do this alone because I just go on and on and on and on. But yeah, it's been an intense week. It's been a good week. It's been a lot for a lot of people. And so I hope that you can take from my little, 15-minute spiel that yes, there's forward momentum. Yes, it's positive, supportive energy. And that is great and good. And if it feels like a lot and it feels uncomfortable, And maybe it's, making you feel not so great. That's okay too. You don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel like, oh, it's positive energy. I'm moving forward. I'm getting the things that I've been asking for and I'm not happy with it, or I don't feel good in it, or it feels like a lot. You don't have to like crap on yourself for that, because change is hard, whether it's good change or whether it's challenging change. It's hard on our bodies, it's hard on our nervous systems. And like, let's be honest, we've talked about this a million times on Spirit Coffee Talk over the last few years. It's been an intense couple years, and a lot of us, our energy stores are really depleted. So, with that being said, I'd love to guide you through a practice. So, with somatic practices, um, in this practice, we're going to take a little bit of a spirit approach. I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going to say, because I'm just going to kind of let spirit guide it a little bit and see where it goes. But the overall intention that I have for it is to create a little bit of space with our guides um, in our bodies to feel what is happening. And ideally, with that, as we teach our bodies to hold space for it a little bit more, we move it. We don't just like hold it in and swallow it down and let it sit in our bodies. We be with it, we listen to it, we understand it. Maybe it has something to say. And then we go into a really loving, calm, neutral, nurturing place in our bodies. And we move back and forth between the two. And what that does is it teaches our bodies and our nervous systems, like, hey, it's actually safe to feel this, because in this moment, I'm not in danger. I don't need to feel afraid. Everything's okay. When I look around my space, and that'll be part of our practice, when I look around my space, I know everything's good right now. And in this moment, I'm safe. And so I can go in and I can feel a little bit and see what's there, knowing that I can always come back to a place of safety if it feels like too much. With somatic work and with nervous system work, we never want to push. We never want to make ourselves go to the places that feel really uncomfortable without support, without a life raft. That's inherently just creating more stress. What we do in these practices is bring awareness to them. We get really intimate with the sensations and what's happening in our bodies. We label them as like colors and shapes and sounds and maybe smells or feels, like whatever comes up. Trust your body, trust what comes up. And we just hold space for it. And oftentimes it shifts and transmutes. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Maybe it's not ready to. But then we move to a place in our body that feels really grounded or feels neutral. And as I'm guiding you there, you'll notice that I'll say things like, maybe you find neutrality, or maybe you find love and joy. Sometimes love and joy isn't always available to us, and that's okay. So we're not going to fake it. We're going to find a neutral place. We're going to find a calm place, somewhere that just feels like status quo, and that's okay. We go back and forth between the two, and we hold space for both experiences. And that in and of itself tells our bodies in that moment, oh, two things can be true at once, one of my favorite sayings. And I can feel this really kind of uncomfortable feeling in my body. And then I can go to another place in my body and feel really peaceful and calm or neutral or joyful or loving. And it reminds us that that experience is always available to us. And it tells your body, hey, remember that just because you're feeling something intense doesn't mean you're not safe right now. And I think that's what happens in our brain sometimes, is it's like, oh, I'm feeling these anxiety feels in my chest. I'm feeling really intense. Something's wrong. Everything's wrong. And my brain will just run amok. Oh, you feel an intense energy in your throat, which is often like chest, throat is often where like an anxiety feeling shows up for me. I might feel that and my brain's going to say, oh boy, something's wrong. Something's wrong. You need to like panic. But nothing's wrong. I'm fine. Everything's okay. But my brain will run amok. And then I've spent my day being anxious when like, what if I had just spent a little bit of time with that sensation, gave it some space to move and transmute, maybe share some information with me, and then I go about my day. Maybe it comes back, maybe it doesn't. There's no right or wrong, but it allows us to not just like hold it and be taken out by it and take it in so much. And oftentimes when we let it build and build and build and build, usually then that's when we default to coping mechanisms that help us cope, but they don't necessarily serve us and help us move forward. Okay, so what we'll do is, like I said, yeah, you want to be in a safe, quiet space. We do want this to be a safe practice. So if you're driving or, in an office or something where you don't feel like you can close your eyes and really go inward for 10, 15 minutes, maybe just put a pause on the video and come back. But we'll get started. So if you want to find a comfortable seat, you can also lay down. If it feels, we want our body to feel nourished and nurtured and supported and cozy and comfy. So get a blanket, find a comfy spot, pause the video if you got to go grab a sweater or something. I'm all cozied because we're getting a polar vortex here this weekend. So just like make yourself comfortable and nourished. That's the most important thing. You can lie down, you can close your eyes. If closing your eyes feels uncomfortable at all, you can lower the gaze or fix the gaze on something. We don't want to be like, wandering with our eyes, because that just creates more things coming into our brain and we start to get distracted. So finding that comfortable seated lying position. I'm going to close my eyes as well because I also need this practice. Okay, so closing the eyes or lowering the gaze and just starting to take a few natural breaths. We're not pushing, we're not changing. We're just allowing our breath to move naturally in and out. Maybe starting to notice the sensations of the breath as you breathe in. I'm in a fairly cool room, so I can feel as I inhale that the air feels cold on my nose. And so just watching the breath for a few more natural breath cycles. Starting to notice your body. Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel warm and supported? Noticing the sensations of the back of the body being supported by the chair or the couch or bed, wherever you are. Taking any shifts or adjustments to ensure the most comfort possible in this moment. And then we're going to bring our awareness up to the top of our head, our crown chakra. And from that place, we're going to notice a bright white light shining from the top of our head, acting as a beacon, like a lighthouse that our spirit guides, our loved ones, angels, beings, anyone on our team, anyone here to support us in our highest good, our highest love and light. That bright white light shining from the crown chakra, acting as a beacon, calling them in, calling them close to us to hold us in this space. And as they come in, they surround you, maybe creating a circle around you in this moment. Whether you can feel them or see them, or you just have the sense that they're here, knowing that they're creating this safe, nourishing, supportive space for us to be held in our experience. And they're saying that being human can be hard sometimes, and they know that. And it's okay to feel like things are hard. And it's okay to feel like things are amazing. All is welcome, all is good. It is your experience. And they want for us to be able to move through these experiences, the very real and sometimes dense experience of being 3D human here. They want us to feel supported in moving through that in a way that serves us, not to bypass, but to really feel supported, to learn what we came here to learn. And so, really feeling their energy, their love, their support, and using that as a reminder for our body, our soma, our spirit, our brain, our nervous system, that we are safe right here and right now. We are safe to feel. We are safe to experience what we came here to experience. And that we can move through the hard things. And there are always supports available to us, both in the 3D world, but also in spirit and within our own experiences. And so, as we feel wrapped and supported, comforted, surrounded by their love and their energy, we start to bring our awareness from the crown of our head down into the body. I like to use the visualization of my awareness in an elevator sliding down the back of my head, down my spine. And as the elevator doors open, somewhere in the body, wherever that is for you, is perfect. I imagine my awareness stepping into my body and taking a look around. And so in this moment, we're going to allow our body, allow our awareness to connect with each other. Inviting your awareness to scan your body for a place of love, a place that feels joyful, maybe, a place that feels comfort, or a place that just simply feels neutral. If love and joy doesn't feel available to you in your body right now, that is okay. And that is normal. So, scanning your body with your awareness for any place that feels anything from neutral to joyful, loving, vibrant energy, and anywhere in between. Trusting where your awareness goes and where it settles. There's no right or wrong. It could be your pinky finger to your heart to your right kneecap. Doesn't matter. And we want to allow and just trust where our awareness goes first. And so once you've found that place in the body that feels neutral to loving and anywhere in between, letting your awareness settle there. For me right now, I feel that in my stomach. And so allowing yourself to start to become intimate with the sensations that are there. If you could use any descriptors to verbalize what it is that you feel in that part of the body, do that. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Does it tingle? Does it feel warm? Does it feel like it's moving? Is there a color associated with it, a shape? Is it dense or is it light? Does it have a sound? Does it have a memory attached to it? Doesn't have to. Just noticing whatever's coming up in that space and allowing it to be. There's no right or wrong, and our body will speak to us in such beautiful and specific ways. And sometimes that's a color, a shape, a sensation, and sometimes it's a memory or a thought or a feeling. Maybe there's more emotion attached there. What can you explore in this neutral to loving space? And taking an inhale, nice and slow, not forcing or pushing it, but just allowing your breath to be a little bit longer than normal. And as you inhale, really letting the sensation of this space in the body be really present with you. If at any point you feel your mind coming in to have commentary on your experience right now, thank it and say, thank you, brain. I'm just going to be in my body for right now. And so as you take a few more inhales, we're going to now move towards maybe a place that feels activated. But we're going to remember that this neutral, loving, joyful, whatever has come up for you space is our anchor. It's our safe place in our body. We can come back to it at any time throughout this practice or any time throughout your day. I can come back to this space and feel safe, neutral, held. And I know that I'm safe here. And so as we start to leave this place, we're going to start to scan with our awareness a place that feels activated. Activation can feel like an intense energy. It can feel like a pain, maybe. It can feel like a worry. There can be thought associated with it. Scanning your body for a place of activation. And so in my experience right now, that's moving into my throat. But noticing in your body where it is for you. And as you find that place, continuing to breathe. And just as we did with our safe space, with our neutral space, we're going to start to allow our awareness to identify what is present here right now. What sensations do I feel? Is there fluttering? Is there tingling? Is there intensity? Is there tightness? Any sort of sensation. There's no right or wrong. Using your breath to support you. What do you see? Is there a color? Is there a shape? Is it moving or is it static? Does it feel heavy or light? Maybe frenetic? Is there a thought or a memory or an experience that comes to mind? Remembering that as you're breathing in this space, if at any point it feels like it's too much, move back to that neutral space, breathing there. And as your awareness is in this place of activation, noticing what's coming up. The intensity of the energy right now is living in this place in my body. And so for me, I'm holding space and I'm feeling some of my experience this week. And so really noticing what that feels like. Noticing if it's shifting at all. Maybe it's changing, maybe it's moved. Trusting what's happening in the body. It knows what to do with these experiences and these feelings when we give it the space to do so. And remembering if at any point it feels like it's too much, going back to that anchored place of safety, of neutrality, of love. Taking a few deep breaths here, inhaling through the nose, and maybe it feels good to open the mouth and exhale through the mouth, sighing, allowing that breath to stimulate your vagus nerve through stimulation of the vagus nerve, we remind the parasympathetic nervous system that we're here, we're safe. And it helps our body feel these things. And so then as you're ready, we're going to start to move back to that place of neutrality, that place of love. And so bringing your awareness back to your neutral, loving space. Breathing in there, noticing the sensations, noticing neutrality, noticing love, noticing what it looks like, bringing yourself back into the experience of safety in that place, if that's available to you. And neutrality is perfect as well. Using your breath here, again, you can inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, sighing as you exhale. Allowing this experience in your anchored place to solidify in your body. We are safe in this moment to feel. Taking a few more breaths here. And at this time, I'm being called to ask your guides, loved ones, spirit team, your peeps, to come forward, wrap you even tighter in loving energy, impart any wisdoms, thoughts, feelings they want to share with you. And then as you're ready, thanking them. And as you move into more of a non-attached place in your body, so not necessarily your neutral place, not necessarily the activated place, but just generally in the body, noticing how you're feeling. Does your activation place feel as activated? And if it does, that's okay. Sometimes these things take time. Does it feel like it's shifted? Does it feel like you can take a deeper breath? Noticing what's coming up for you, noticing if there's any wisdoms or understandings of what you need moving forward. Maybe you need to slow down, even in the tiniest of ways. Maybe you need to rest. Maybe you need to do something fun. Bring some laughter into your life. Allowing any wisdoms to come forth. And then we're slowly going to start to bring our awareness. If you used your elevator, you can bring that awareness back into the elevator of your spine, moving up and into the head. And starting to bring your awareness to the world around you, the temperature of the room, the back body being supported by wherever you're seated or lying. Starting to bring awareness into the mind. And then whenever you're ready, starting to take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, opening the mouth, sighing. Doing that 2 more times. And then whenever you're ready, slowly opening the eyes, keeping a soft gaze, and starting to look ever so slowly around your room. And so as we're doing this, it's like we're moving through molasses, looking above, looking below you, making sure to look behind you, orienting to your space. Orienting tells our nervous system, hey, see, there's no bear that's going to eat us right now. Allowing ourselves to reintegrate into safety in this world, this 3D experience. So, thank you for sharing that practice with me. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions, if things felt weird or good or anything like that. You can always reach out to me through Avalon Spirit, through my website, through the comments on YouTube, wherever. I'll check. This is a beautiful practice that you can come back to at any time. You can listen to this recording. You can also practice this on your own. All we're doing is finding a safe space in the body and finding an activated space in the body and slowly moving between the two as we notice the awareness. If your activated space doesn't feel a whole lot calmer, that's okay. There's no right or wrong. Sometimes it takes a few times to move through something that's really intense. And so maybe you do this practice a couple times a day. You don't have to, but maybe you come back to it tomorrow. Or, you do it in shorter bursts here and there. Whatever works for you. Ultimately, the goal is to create safety and comfort while feeling what's happening in our bodies, because there's often beautiful wisdoms in there. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today. Hopefully, I filled the shoes of Lisa and Ginette in their absence. They will be back next week, I believe, I'm pretty sure. And let us know how you like this practice. If you want more practices, if there's anything new and exciting that you want us to talk about, we're always happy to share new ideas and talk about new topics. And yeah, I hope you have a really beautiful week. I hope the energies are serving you and supportive of you. And if they're intense and a lot, then I hope this practice can serve you going forward. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you soon.